What is up, YouTube? In this video, I will be talking about how I will be preparing for Sea Phantom Politis, as I predict she will be disrupting the meta near the end of the RTA season coming up. Obviously, Candy and Yuffie are very prominent in the meta. Same with, Ocean Breeze Lulucar, or just any focus or fighting spirit units like Lionheart as well. She's going to disrupt everything. She'll change how everybody drafts, how everybody's going to play, and she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, for the players who don't have enough mystics saved up for ML Politis, or are skipping this unit for personal reasons, or saving for a Light Sid or ML Senior, whatever the case may be, I've created I've theory crafted 5 different units that I will be taking advantage of in preparation for Sea Phantom Politis' launch. And yeah, I hope you guys are going to be able to find this useful, and if you do, please consider dropping a like and comment below to help me with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Now, the first unit I'm going to be talking about is Peira. Now, Valky has made a video, I think it was a few days ago, regarding Peira and why she's very good into ML Poly, because she applies Unbuffable, she applies Restrict, she has, stun on her S1 kit, and she just has really good mitigation as well, because that escort is almost like having a tank there, right? But the main thing to counter ML Poly is sticking that Unbuffable, number 1. Because if you're not granting them Rage for Janua or A-Tywin or Mort or Teiyu or ML Poly herself, she can't dual attack on S1. She cannot provide these really strong buffs for the rest of her team. So it's a really big disruptor. So the Peira is really going to disrupt their draft. And S1, obviously, Janua is going to be a very big popular pairing for the Sea Phantom Politis. So having the S1 Soul Burn stun is really crucial when you're about to proc in 50%. That's going to be the difference on whether you win or lose the match. Now, as you can see from my build, we are almost 320 speed. I do not expect you to be this fast. If you're aiming for Legend, and if you're fighting against, the top 30 people in Legend, this is kind of the gear you're going to need. But for someone that's looking in Master, Challenger, Champion, maybe you're just looking for the, Briar Witch Assyria skin, 290, 285, 300, whatever that you can manage. I think your top speed gear should be looking at putting onto Peira with ML Politis coming out. Now, if you guys don't see her a lot in your games, don't gear Peira, but I'm expecting to see a ton of this. So this is one of the units that I have prepared for ML Politis to try to disrupt her as much as I can and try to slow her down. And yeah, this is going to be very crucial. And Goblet of Oath is obviously going to be the best in slot. You are going to be able to run something like RNL if you want to get a little bit more, RNG. But I personally like to go with Goblet just because you kind of guarantee your cycling on your S2, especially if you have Lie on your team. So it's going to be really, really good. But let's move over to our second unit, and there will be no other than Politis herself. Alright, so the second unit, like I said, it's none other than the RGB version of Sea Phantom Politis herself, and we're going to be running Politis. Now, as you guys can see, I have 2 different Politis geared. I have one that's for damage, so that if they are, relatively pretty squishy, and I do have some flexibility of having, some offensive units on my draft, then I can draft ML Poly to really just proc the Janua down to 1 HP from 100 if they have no mitigation, because obviously we have Torrent set, we should be able to break him since he has no defensive stats. But the highlight of the counter Politis mainly is the degen one. So degen Poly, here's the minimum stat line you need to go for. You need to go for a minimum 230 speed. You need to have immunity. You need to have about 120, 130, whatever amount of effectiveness that you can manage, and have a little bit of bulk as well. As you can see, I'm about 1450 defense, 15.6k HP, 245 speed, and 140 effectiveness. We like to round up around here. The artifact best in slot is going to be Abyssal Crown. Now, some people do like to go for like Ayla or Fairy Tale for a Nightmare. It really does depend on how you're going to be playing her. Maybe you don't have an Abyssal Crown, but if you do have Abyssal Crown, I think degen Poly will want to have the Abyssal Crown for sure, because that stun is going to be super crucial. And if you do have a Poly that you haven't built yet, now degen Poly, the great thing about that is you only need to have 4 Molas into her S3. S2 is only for damage, S1 is for an increased stun chance, which is only up to 40%, and I still feel like that's not really worth it. So S3, we're trying to save Molas here with all the collab units coming out, so you only need a Mola S3, okay, just for the effect chance, so you can guarantee land a decreased hit chance and the unbuffable. Otherwise, you're losing out on a ton of value, and you're really flipping you're flipping the coin when you're hitting the S3 without Molas. You could, but that's a risk that I'm not willing to take. But this is the second unit that I'm going to be building. Third unit we're going to be looking at is going to be none other than green Celine. So for Celine, we're looking at having just a full damage build. Now, I have not re-geared yet. I'm still waiting for Sea Phantom Politis to come out so I can do my, free unequip and everything like that. But Green Celine is pretty straightforward to build. You want to be running a highest attack damage EE. There are other EEs like the stealth one, which you could use, but that's more of a standard EE, which I wouldn't recommend. You want to just have the highest attack EE. And obviously Secret Art Stormstone is going to be your bread and butter so that you can get that CR cut and the attack buff and just really take over the match. Now, you want to just go for Destro Pen. If you do not have good destruction gear, don't worry. You can build something with triple sets. So that would be a critical set, that would be with penetration set, and also torrent set. Now, those three sets together, if you can get 100 crit and have as much damage as possible, that's probably going to work just as fine. But if you want to have a 4-set, 2-set, then Destro Pen is going to be your best bet. Some people like running speed boots as well, just because you can run attack boot or attack percent main stat on the speed boots on speed set and get a little bit more attack. But it really just depends on how much gear that you'll be wanting to put on. I'd say you want to have minimum at least like 4k 300. If not, you want to maybe shoot over if possible. But Celine's going to be really great in the sense where Politis is going to be a non-attack skill on S3. So for players who may be running Unseen Observer with Sea Phantom Politis and having like a Green Sid, for example, and they don't have any other units that have higher attack than Green Sid, Celine can really be that force ban, which is going to be guaranteed, because if they want to proc the Unseen into a Sid Soul Burn, it's game over, right? This is going to be a force ban for sure, and it's definitely a unit that you want to have ready, because there is going to be one of those games where you're going to see Unseen Observer, Sea Phantom Politis, and you're going to want to have Celine gear. So make sure we have this ready, and let's move over to the next one. For our next unit, we're going to be looking at Death Dealer Ray, and this is going to be a little bit of a more, I guess, unconventional build that I have been kind of theory crafting. Now, this is an ER DDR with Soul Consolation. So we're at 167, let's round up, okay, 170. We could get 30 ER from Soul Consolation. And as we already know, Sea Phantom Politis is going to push back 20% for your entire team. So what that means is if we resist, we're going to move up 12%. So we're going to open up a calculator. And as you guys can see on screen right now, you're going to see that anytime you want to calculate the CR, it's going to be 269 divided by 0.88, right? We get 12% CR on Soul Consolation. If you have a higher leveled Soul Consolation, obviously you're going to get a bigger push. But at 269 speed, we're going to be looking at getting to 305 speed. So the reason why I'm thinking of running a DDR is in these aggro comps here, where you can maybe try to take advantage of a fast ER DDR, where when she presses S3, that's a non-attack skill, which pushes you up to 305. Then you can S3 sleep their entire team into S2 tempo your entire team back up, since the DDR does provide a 20% CR push for the entire team. Now, obviously, you're still going to have speed down, so that's something to be aware of, and they have rage buff, but you're definitely not going to miss a rotation while getting that 20% CR push from the DDR, even with being speed down. And I think this is a unit that it is going to be hard to play, because you will have to most likely ban the unit on their draft, which has a Taga Hell's Ancient Book, because if they soul burn, it obviously ignores ER, and this is not going to work. But if they do not have souls and you have high enough ER, and obviously my ER gear is not that good, right? Like I've got 19 here, 16 here, 9 ER here. Like I don't really have that good ER, but I'm sure some of you watching might be able to make a better one, so you guys can take full advantage of this type of build where you can cut in front and then sleep them, S2 tempo out, and then try to kill them from that way, right? So definitely something worth considering. And if you guys can't make this kind of build, then maybe this is not something that's for you. But for some of my RTA emperors and legends that are watching this video, I think this is worth considering. So give it a try, let me know what you think in the comments, and let's move over to our last and final unit. For our fifth and final unit, we're going to be playing with Winter. Now, it's going to be a fast Winter. I suggest you play her around 280 speed, but you want to have 100 crit chance, as that's required in her kit. So you want to be running a crit chance necklace, and you want to have an effectiveness ring so that you have over 100 effectiveness. And you're going to be wanting to run Secret Art Storm Sword, because you're going to be getting 24% CR when an enemy uses a non-attack skill. Sea Phantom Politis S3 is going to push back 20%, so your total net game is going to be 4%. But obviously, we're not using this to, cut in front of anything. It's more so that we can stun the Genua, as Genua mostly is always on speed torrent. They're not going to have immunity for the most part. If it is an ER Genua, you'll be able to spot it right away, and they're going to be a bit slower on the CR bar, so you can make your decision on hitting something else instead. But the main thing is her S3 is a 2-turn stun for Genua, so if it is a fast Genua, which is what we're going to be likely seeing moving forward, you're definitely going to want to have this winter unit ready so that you can 2 turn stun the Janua, proc him on the second turn by breathing on him, and then you can reset every turn, right? But she's gonna be, I think, honestly, this is a test unit. When she comes out, I'll be able to whip out the winter a few games here and see how she works. But on paper, it makes sense to me. You stun the Janua, you stun the Wincon. He can't soul burn S1 for Gab with the Unseen Observer, so he can't just nuke your team from the opening turn. You insta-proc him so that he loses any form of buffs, right? So it should be pretty okay, except for Rage, obviously, but it might work. But yeah, those are the 5 units that I do suggest. So let me just move into my closing thoughts real quick here. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's video for the prepping for ML Politis. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments below on the ideas that I have in mind. I know that some of the gear that is in the video is unattainable or unrelatable. I know, but like I said, right, if you can't make a 320 Peira, make a 290, make a 295, make a 300. If you can't even do that, go for the Degen Poly, go for the Green Celine. So like, be ready and expect everything. Right, like ML Poly is gonna do a lot of damage to the meta, so you have to be ready. Especially if you are a Yuffie Candy or a standard player, you absolutely have to be ready and have all the tools ready. Who knows, right? The first game, I might be able to whip out a Degen Poly and win the game by stunning everything. You never know, right? But hopefully, I'm just not gonna yap too much further. I think I've done enough yapping. I hope these units will help you, as I hope it'll help me. And we'll find out soon. Maybe, in a stream that you come by, I'm getting absolutely raw dogged by the ML Poly, but hopefully not. So we're signing out here. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the videos. I'll see you guys on the next video tomorrow or the day after. And good luck on your guys' Sea Phantom Politis polls. I'll definitely be doing them and making a video for sure, because guess what, guys? I've got a little bit of a treat for you. I've got 108 Galaxy bookmarks and 5.4k Mystics. It's going to be a banger. So see you guys then. Take care. Bye.